Her sneakers were worn down to nothing, the soles barely hanging on with strips of duct tape. She had on faded jeans with rough patches sewn into both knees, the kind you don't wear by choice. I watched my younger sister, Emily, standing in line at a community soup kitchen on a hot Tuesday morning in July, gripping the hand of my 7-year-old nephew, Noah, like she was scared he might vanish if she loosened her hold even for a second. For a moment, I almost didn't know who I was looking at. This was my sister, the same woman who had taught 3rd grade at Riverside Elementary for 10 solid years. The same sister who'd bought a nice 3-bedroom house out in the suburbs 5 years earlier. Just last Christmas, she'd sent me pictures of Noah tearing into presents under a fully decorated tree in their living room. And now here she was, downtown Baltimore, sweating in the summer heat, waiting in line for a free meal. I stepped up behind her. She turned around and I saw it right away. The emptiness in her eyes. How much weight she'd dropped. Her cheekbones looked sharp now, almost too sharp. Her shoulders were rounded forward, like she was trying to fold herself inward and disappear. For just a split second, pure fear flashed across her face before she forced a weak smile. "Alex, hi," she said. "What are you doing here?" "I volunteer here every Tuesday," I answered, keeping my voice calm even though my heart was slamming in my chest. I'd been helping out at this soup kitchen for 3 years since retiring from the FBI, and never, not once, had I imagined I'd see my own sister standing on the other side of the line. "What are you doing here?" I asked. She looked down at Noah, who was clinging tight to her leg. We needed lunch today. Mark's between jobs and money's kind of tight." Mark. Her husband of 6 years. The guy who'd seemed charming and driven when she first introduced him to the family. The so-called entrepreneur who was always chasing the next big opportunity. "Where's your car?" I asked, thinking about the Honda Accord she'd been so proud of when she bought it 3 years earlier. "Mark needed it for work meetings," she said. "We took the bus." The bus. In 90-degree heat. With a 7-year-old kid. I said quietly. "What's really going on?" She glanced around like someone might be listening. "Nothing. Everything's fine. We just need to get through lunch and then we have somewhere to be." I looked at Noah more closely. His shirt was clean, but it was too small, like he'd outgrown it months ago and nobody had replaced it. His hair was overdue for a cut. And his eyes, those eyes had that alert, worried look kids get when home doesn't feel safe anymore. "Have either of you eaten today?" I asked under my breath. Her eyes filled instantly and she blinked fast, trying to stop the tears. "We're okay, Alex. Really. Please don't make a scene." "I'm not making a scene," I said. "I'm your sister, and I'm asking you when you last had a real meal." Noah tugged on her hand. "Mama, I'm hungry." Something inside me cracked at the sound of his small voice. "I know, baby," said softly. "We're almost at the front." "No," I said, gently taking her arm. "Come with me. Both of you." "Alex, I can't," she whispered. "Mark's going to call soon to check in. And if I don't answer?" I said, waiting until she looked up at me. "Come with me." I led them out of the line and down the street to my car, parked a couple of blocks away. Once we were inside, the air conditioning blasting, Noah buckled into the back seat with the granola bars I keep in my glove compartment clutched in his hands. I turned to my sister. "Tell me everything," I said. "Right now." And that's when she finally broke. Sitting there in my car, windows rolled up, engine running, my little sister started crying. Not quiet tears, but the kind that come from holding everything in for months. The kind that shakes your whole body. I didn't rush her. I handed her tissues, kept one hand on her shoulder, and let her cry it out. After about 10 minutes, she wiped her face and took a breath. "We're living in our car, Alex," she said. "We've been doing that for 3 months." "What?" I said. "Mark sold the house in April," she went on. "He said we were underwater on the mortgage. Said I'd been overspending and we couldn't afford it anymore. He showed me papers, foreclosure notices, debt statements." Her voice sounded empty. I believed him. I thought it was my fault. I thought I'd ruined everything. In the back seat, Noah had fallen asleep, the granola bar wrapper still curled in his hand. "Where's the money from the house sale?" I asked. "Mark said it all went to pay off the debts I created," she said, her hands trembling. "But, Alex, I don't get it. I make $58,000 a year teaching. I put money into my pension every month. I had savings. My credit cards were paid off. I don't understand how we could have been that deep in debt. That cold, familiar feeling settled in. The one I used to get when a case finally started making sense. After 26 years working financial crimes with the FBI, I knew exactly what this sounded like. I said. Do you have access to your bank accounts? She shook her head. Mark handles all the finances. He said I was bad with money. He showed me statements where I'd supposedly spent thousands on things I don't even remember buying. Designer bags, jewelry, trips. Her voice cracked. I thought maybe I'd blacked out or something, because I don't remember any of it. He said I needed to let him take control until I got help for my spending problem. And you believed him, I said. She looked at me with pure desperation. Why wouldn't I? The statements had my name on them, Alex. My signature. He was so patient, so understanding. He said he still loved me, even though I'd almost destroyed our family financially. Gaslighting. Plain and simple. Financial abuse mixed with psychological manipulation. I'd seen it 100 times on the job, but watching it happen to my own sister made my blood run cold. Where do you sleep? I asked. In the car, she said. We park somewhere different every night so the police don't hassle us. Sometimes behind Walmart, sometimes at rest stops. Noah sleeps in the back seat, and I sleep up front. For 3 months? I asked. She nodded. Mark says we can move back in with him and his brother once I prove I can be responsible. Once I show I won't spend money we don't have. She swallowed. He gives me $20 a week for food and whatever Noah needs. $20 a week, to feed and clothe a child, while Mark drove her car and lived who knows where. Where's Mark staying? I asked. With his brother, Ryan. They've got an apartment somewhere. I'm not allowed to know the address. Mark says I might show up and embarrass him in front of Ryan's friends. And Noah? I said. Where does Mark think he is during the day? Mark keeps telling me that if anyone finds out we're homeless, child services will take Noah away. Said quietly. He says it'll be my fault for being a bad mother. More lies. More control. I felt my jaw tighten. I asked. When was the last time you personally accessed your pension account? She blinked at me, confused. I can't. Mark said the school district froze it because of my financial issues. He told me he's handling it with a lawyer. I shook my head. That's not how it works. School districts don't freeze teacher pensions over personal debt. The color drained from her face. What do you mean? I mean, I think Mark has been stealing from you, I said carefully. I think he drained your pension, your savings, and wrecked your credit. I think he forged your signature, opened accounts in your name, and sold your house without you ever seeing a dime. But the paperwork, she said weakly. The statements. Can all be faked, I said. I've seen it done 1,000 times. Noah shifted in the back seat, mumbling something about dinosaurs before falling back asleep. Grabbed my hand. If you're right. If all of this is fake, what do? I can't go to the police. Mark said if I cause trouble, he has proof that I'm an unfit mother. He's got photos of me sleeping in the car with Noah. Records of me missing work. He says he'll take my son away forever. I said, squeezing her hand. Listen to me. I spent 26 years as a forensic accountant with the FBI. White-collar crime, identity theft, financial fraud, that was my world. What Mark's doing isn't just cruel. It's criminal. Federal-level criminal. And I know exactly how to prove it. She looked at me then with something I hadn't seen in months. Hope. But I need you to trust me completely, I said. Can you do that? She swallowed. What are you going to do? I smiled, but there was nothing friendly about it. I'm going to remind your husband that he picked the wrong family to scam. That afternoon, I checked and Noah into a hotel and paid for a full week up front. I gave her one rule. No contact with Mark, no matter what he said or threatened. Then I made 5 phone calls. The first was to Ethan Brooks, my old FBI partner who now worked white-collar cases. Ethan, I need a favor. Personal matter. My sister's husband. Identity theft, possible pension fraud, and I think he's running something bigger. Send me everything you've got. I'll start pulling financials. The second call went to the Baltimore County Recorder of Deeds. I need property records for a sale in April, I said. Owner, Emily Williams Park. By the end of that call, I had the deed transfer. The house had sold for $215,000. The buyer was a limited liability company called DK Investments. My third call was to a former colleague at the Social Security Administration. Run a trace on any credit accounts opened in my sister's name over the last 2 years. The list she sent me an hour later made my hands shake. 23 credit cards, 4 personal loans, 2 auto loans, all under Emily's name. Total debt, $74,000. This was the same sister who'd taught me how to budget when we were teenagers. The woman who'd always guarded her credit like gold. The fourth call was to Riverside Elementary's payroll department. I'm calling about Emily Williams Park, I said. I have power of attorney and need to verify her pension contributions. The woman on the phone didn't hesitate. According to our records, her pension account was closed in March. Full withdrawal $42,000. Signed authorization on file. My sister's entire retirement gone. The fifth call was back to Ethan. I need surveillance. I've got an address tied to DK Investments. I want to know who's there and what they're doing. I'll get someone on it tonight, he said. That evening, I drove past the address listed for DK Investments. It was M's old house. The same house she'd poured her heart into. The place where she planted rose bushes out front and painted Noah's bedroom blue, complete with clouds on the ceiling. There were expensive cars in the driveway, a BMW and 2 Mercedes. Lights were on inside. People were moving around. I took pictures. A lot of them. At 10 o'clock that night, Ethan called me back. You're not going to believe this, he said. That house? They're running illegal poker games. High stakes. We've been tracking the operation for 2 months but couldn't nail down the location. Your brother-in-law and his brother are running it. Illegal gambling. That's why Mark needed her house. That's where my sister's retirement money had gone. How much money are we talking about? I asked. Last game we tracked, over $100,000 in cash changed hands in one night, Ethan said. They're laundering it through multiple accounts, and several of those accounts are in your sister's name. She doesn't know anything about this, I said. I believe you, he replied. But on paper she looks complicit. They've been careful. Everything makes it look like she's a willing participant. I thought about Em sleeping in her car. About Noah eating granola bars for dinner. About my sister believing she was a terrible mother with a spending problem. Ethan, I said, I need a full investigation. I need every transaction traced. I need proof those signatures were forged and I need it fast. My sister has been homeless with her 7-year-old for 3 months while her husband steals her identity. There was a pause. Alex, if this is accurate, we're talking about more than fraud. This is child endangerment, large-scale identity theft, and money laundering. These are federal charges. Good, I said. How fast can you move? Give me a week. That week was the longest of my life, but I didn't waste a second. I hired a private investigator to track Mark and his brother Ryan. He came back with photos of them at poker games, laughing and drinking high-end whiskey. Pictures of them at a country club. Photos of Mark with his arm wrapped around another woman. I contacted a family law attorney and laid everything out in front of her. She studied the file and gave a tight smile. Your sister will get full custody, she said. And she'll get every dollar back, possibly more. I pulled M's credit reports and documented every fraudulent account. I contacted each credit card company, provided evidence of identity theft, and started the dispute process. Then I went to Riverside Elementary and sat down with the principal who'd known M for 10 years. I told her everything. She was horrified. We thought M was just dealing with something personal, she said quietly. He looked down. I'm supposed to keep him quiet, she said. And out of sight. We had no idea, the principal said. Tell her job will be waiting when she's ready. And we'll help in any way we can. On the 5th day, Ethan called me back. We've got him, he said. 42 counts of identity theft. 23 counts of credit fraud. Multiple charges for money laundering, pension fraud, and wire fraud. And because your sister and her son were living out of a car while he lived comfortably off stolen money, We're adding child endangerment. When does it happen? I asked. Tomorrow morning. 6 a.m. Be at your sister's hotel. We'll need her statement. And his brother? Him too. All of it. I called him right away. Tomorrow morning everything changes. The FBI is arresting Mark and Ryan. You'll need to give a statement. Can you do that? She was quiet for a long moment. Will Noah be okay? He'll be fine, I said. I'll stay with him while you talk to the agents. But you need to be strong tomorrow. You have to tell them everything. Yes, she said. Her voice was steadier than I'd heard in months. Yes, I can do that. The next morning at exactly 6 o'clock, 2 FBI vehicles pulled up in front of M's old house. I wasn't there to see it myself, but Ethan sent me photos later. Mark and Ryan in handcuffs. 10 people scattering in every direction. The poker table still set up in what used to be Noah's bedroom. Stacks of cash spread across the dining room table. Evidence everywhere you looked. Back at the hotel, M gave her statement to Ethan and 2 other agents. She told them everything: the gaslighting, the fake bank statements, the manipulation, the 3 months living in the car, the $20 a week, the threats about losing Noah. While she talked, Noah sat with me in the lobby, eating pancakes I'd ordered from room service and watching cartoons on my phone like it was any other morning. When M finally came out 2 hours later, she looked worn out, but lighter, like something heavy had finally been lifted off her shoulders. What happens now? She asked. Now, I said, we get your house back. And then we make sure Mark and Ryan never hurt anyone else again. The legal process moved faster than I expected. With federal charges, solid evidence, and Ethan laying out the money laundering operation, both Mark and Ryan were advised to plead guilty. Mark was sentenced to 8 years in federal prison. Ryan got 5, along with full restitution requirements. The house was returned to M. The sale was voided as a fraudulent transaction. Every credit card was wiped from her record as confirmed identity theft. Her pension was restored by court order, pulled from Mark's family assets. The $215,000 from the house sale was recovered from multiple accounts, along with another $130,000 in illegal poker profits, all awarded to M as restitution. By September, M and Noah moved back into their house. She took a month off to recover, then returned to her classroom. On her first day back, the principal gave her a standing ovation. Mark's girlfriend disappeared the moment he was arrested. Turns out she'd been running her own scam on him. Most of Ryan's friends were arrested too. The poker operation had been running for 18 months. A year later, on a bright Saturday in July, we threw Noah an 8th birthday party in M's backyard, the same yard where she'd planted rose bushes 5 years earlier. Somehow they'd survived everything blooming bright red. Noah ran around with his school friends, wearing a superhero cape and flashing the toy FBI badge I'd given him. M stood next to me by the grill while her new boyfriend, a good guy, a middle school teacher, flipped burgers. Thank you, she said softly. For everything. For not giving up on me. You're my sister, I said. That's what we do. She watched Noah laughing, running, just being a kid again. You know what the hardest part was? She said. Not sleeping in the car. Not even being hungry. It was believing him when he said it was my fault. Believing I'd done something wrong. You didn't, I told her. He was a predator. He found someone kind and trusting and took advantage of that. But you survived. And more than that, you fought back. Only because you fought for me first, she said. Noah came racing over, his face smeared with cake frosting. Aunt Alex. Aunt Alex. Can you tell everyone the story about how the FBI arrested Dad? Em and I exchanged a look. She smiled, a real smile, the kind that reached her eyes. Maybe when you're older, buddy, she said. But yeah, someday I'll tell you how we caught the bad guys. He whooped and ran back to his friends. Em slipped her arm around me. You know what I learned through all this? She said. Family isn't just about blood. It's about who shows up when everything falls apart. I squeezed her shoulder. And you showed up too. You protected Noah. You survived. You were stronger than you ever realized. The afternoon sun filtered through the oak tree, casting moving shadows across the yard. Music played from a speaker. Kids laughed. Adults talked and ate, enjoying a normal summer afternoon. And somewhere in a federal prison in West Virginia, Mark Park was learning that actions have consequences, that you can't destroy someone's life without eventually paying the price. But here in this backyard with roses in bloom, birthday cake on paper plates, and my nephew's laughter filling the air, justice felt like more than punishment. Felt like healing, like rebuilding, like coming home. Noah sprinted past again, cape flying behind him. Would he remember sleeping in the car? Probably. Would he remember being scared? Maybe. But I hoped what he'd remember most was this: the family that fought for him, the mother who never gave up, the people who refused to let him slip through the cracks. M's boyfriend walked over carrying a plate of burgers. You ladies want to eat before the kids wipe everything out? M laughed, a real honest laugh. Definitely. As we sat at the picnic table, Noah climbed into her lap, even though he was getting too big for it. Mama, he said, this is the best birthday ever. She hugged him tight, then looked over his head at me and mouthed, thank you. I nodded back. Because that's what family does. We fight. We protect. We don't give up on each other. And sometimes, if you're very lucky, you've got a former FBI forensic accountant in the family who knows exactly how to take down a con artist. Mark had convinced himself he was smarter than everyone else. He forged signatures, moved money around, and slowly broke him down until she believed she was the problem. He counted on the fact that she was kind, trusting, and cut off from anyone who might question him. What he didn't count on was this: Em wasn't alone. She had family. And real family doesn't let you suffer quietly in the dark. As the sun dipped low, the birthday party wound down. Parents came back to collect kids hopped up on sugar and excitement. Noah's new best friend promised to come over the following weekend to play. Once the yard was quiet again and Noah was asleep upstairs, completely worn out but smiling even in his dreams, Em and I sat on the porch with glasses of iced tea, the warm summer air still hanging around us. Do you think I'll ever stop looking over my shoulder? She asked. Like I'm always waiting for something bad to happen. Probably not right away, I said honestly. Trauma doesn't work on a timetable. But it does ease. Therapy will help. Time will help. And knowing he's locked up will help too. She nodded slowly. I still have nightmares sometimes. That Noah and I are back in the car. That Mark comes and takes him. That I lose everything all over again. Those are nightmares, I said gently. The reality is this: you're sitting in your own house. Your son is safe upstairs. Mark is in prison. Ryan is in prison. You won. You survived. You're rebuilding. We won, she said softly. You won, she corrected. I was just trying to get through each day. I squeezed her hand. You fought back too. Every morning you got up and took care of Noah. Every day you kept going when it felt impossible. That was fighting back. Don't sell yourself short. She wiped at her eyes. I keep thinking about all the other women out there like I was, believing they're the problem, sleeping in cars with their kids, being told they're crazy or irresponsible. Who's fighting for them? I thought about that for a moment. Maybe you could. She turned to me. What do you mean? You're a teacher. You survived this. You have a story that matters. Maybe someday when you're ready, you could help other women spot the warning signs. Help them get out before things go as far as they did for you. She sat quietly thinking. Maybe, she said. Not yet. But maybe someday. We sat there in easy silence, listening to crickets and the distant hum of traffic. A year earlier, my sister had been standing in line at a soup kitchen, scared and broken. Now she was home. She wasn't completely healed. Some days were still hard. Noah still had bad dreams now and then. The damage Mark had done wouldn't disappear overnight. But they were healing together, surrounded by people who loved them. And that, I realized, was what really mattered. Not revenge. Not punishment. Not even justice, though justice had its place. What mattered was love. Family. Showing up. Fighting for each other. Everything else was just details.